Perfect timing because I had to burp and it didn't.
And we're live as you burp. All right, homie, whenever you're ready.
Ready for what?
We got 0 viewers
It's perfect. That's what we need.
from the jump.
Nobody's. Nobody's. All right, ready to do this?
Let's roll.
This is what is this? 62? 62?
6
All right.
dose.
All right, let's do it.
Performance on Demand podcast. It's
1, 2, 3, let's go!
Welcome to Performance on Demand podcast with Craig and Jeremy, where you will learn all things endurance sports from training and nutrition to mental strength. Everything you need and want to know in one place.
Welcome back to Performance on Demand podcast. I am your host, Craig Willard, along with Jeremy Brown.
Hey, easy. What up, dude?
What's up, dude?
Man, I am good. I'm sitting here tracking some athletes racing. Watched a little Paris-Roubaix race this morning, and the Masters are teeing off here. The final pairings will be teeing off here in about 3 hours. So
You're watching some athletes.
athletes. I'm
Athletes.
tracking some athletes. Tracking one athlete right now that's running a 5:21 mile,
That's
almost 5 miles into his half. So he's
that's redonkulous.
3 minutes back out of first place in the age group, going to run his way in the top 15 overall. So really, really cool.
That is redonkulous.
Yes, sir. So by the time this comes out, though, this is all going to be old news, right? So by the time by the time we publish this, but I think we talked about kind of a good idea for it. But I do want to take a pause break. You know what's great for podcasting, Craig?
What's that?
Homemade chocolate chip cookies.
Yeah.
You see that right there? Those that
I
can't
see
it,
that. I do
Oh,
see
yeah.
that.
it's money.
That's
So damn fine.
is that for extra? Is that for the run later on tonight? Or-
No,
no, that's for my belly.
that's for my belly.
What are we talking about today?
That's podcasting fuel. All right, so
Podcasting fuel.
I mentioned a little while ago, and today, if you're looking at sports overall, obviously we just had we have the NBA playoffs coming up. For anybody that tracks that, football should be starting up with their spring training soon. You got baseball that just kicked off, but you got the Masters, one of the biggest events probably in all of sports, right? Very close. I rank that up there with like Tour de France.
You got them wind chimes
Oh.
going again, don't you?
I do.
It's all right.
They're gonna take the wind chimes down. And so you got all these. It's gonna get loud for just a second.
This is real live, guys. This is real live.
This is unscripted, real life. All right, we're good.
Oh my
So,
god! He just killed
so,
the wind chimes.
so we got all these things going on, and the Masters, like I said, I think is one of the biggest sporting events, especially in that sport. But there's a lot of things going on today, and it got me thinking. And I mean, you kind of chatted briefly about it. Today is the day, whether there were people racing the Paris-Roubaix 1 day classic, people racing 70.3 Florida, which is going on right now, Ironman Texas in a couple weeks, in the Masters today, you have many opportunities to make a bad decision, right? I mean, let's just be real.
Wait! I gotta play this. Oh, that's not the right one. Hold on. I gotta play this.
You guys should have known. You feel me? You should have known. You should have known. Okay? Should have known.
You should have known.
Put up a sign. No,
You put up a sign.
Disrespectful. Disrespectful.
That was disrespectful. What you just said. You got a lot of options to screw up.
We got a lot of chances. A lot of chances. And
Disrespectful.
as funny as it is true. We get faced with decisions and micro decisions and macro decisions every single day, every single hour, Craig. And it could be as simple as, well, let's see. Do I grab a bag of trail mix or do I grab 2 chocolate chip cookies before we podcast to snack on? Right? But we named the podcast today. Well, that was stupid because let's just face it, we do make bad decisions, whether it's family, whether it's sport, whether it's life, work, whatever. And at the end of the day, they always say it's not about it's not about making a bad decision. It's how do you bounce back from that, right? It's not about having or being in a, we'll call it less than ideal situation. It's how you recover from that. And I think that's worth chatting about today, because a lot of people have big races. The spring season, as far as endurance sports, cycling's been going for quite a while, except for up north. And it's when you make that bad decision or you don't pick that right thing, how do you come back from it? Can you come back from it? Well, yeah, you can. A lot of it's about mindset, but then there's a lot of it about the whole give a damn factor. Are you willing to work hard enough to overcome that little piece of adversity?
Yeah. Well, how many listening have said that to themselves? That was stupid. And what I just did is exactly what you probably should do, and that's laugh.
Yep.
Because if you take it too seriously, as they say, don't take life too seriously, because no one's getting out alive anyway. So
true.
So when we realize that we've made a decision, a judgment, or something along those lines, and they don't work in our favor, we laugh about it, we learn from it, we blow it off, because the reality of it is, it's, if you're sitting there looking at a creek and you throw an old leaf that's fallen out of the tree into the creek, it's going to wash away. It's going to go away. And it's gone, and it doesn't matter anymore. It's irrelevant at this point, except it's only relevant if you don't learn from it, because it's the corner of the couch that you continue to stump your toe on every single flipping night until you choose to take a different path, turn the damn light on, or move the couch. Move the couch. Something.
Light on fire.
Yeah, if life, especially if you don't make a good decision, or don't make a decision that's in your best interest, and you continue to get upset and feel victimized by it, the reality of it is it's going to hit you again.
And again,
life is like that. Life loves to throw you exactly what you can't even stand to deal with. It's going to continue to throw it to you and continue to throw it to you until you realize how to hit it out of the park. Once you realize that you're in control and you can take care of it and you can learn from it, it'll go away.
Right. And that's so true. And so much of what we do is about how we handle situations. Like, so much of our progress through life is not about coming up on these times that are less than ideal. It's more about how do we handle those times? How do we process? How do we move forward? Or do we move forward, right? How many times, and I'll be the first to admit it, I've had situations, man, I just can't figure it out, but I just get hung up on it. You make a choice. It's not what's ideal, but you can't, it takes you longer to process it and get over it and let go of it. But the minute you let go of it, so much better. You get back to that good positive place, you start moving forward. And that's going to happen. And I know we had this, I think it was the Waves discussion last year about this time after my Ironman Texas race. And we agreed to disagree that I was creating these kind of negative moments. And I say I was anticipating them. We agreed on different terms on that, and that's perfectly fine. But it's
sure.
Regardless, it's how do you handle that?
Right.
It's not about, is it going to come and will it come? And just being a realist here, it's going to come at some point in your life.
Sure.
You're going to have an opportunity to have a situation that you're like, this sucks. This is not what I wanted. But it's how do you process and move forward from there? So let's take the Masters, for example. Championship Sunday. You got, I think, 7 guys that are all from 4 to 6 strokes under par. For those that don't know golf, that's pretty damn good on that course, considering day one the winds were like 30 miles an hour. And that course is just stupid anyway. But so, at what point in time, let's say golfer gets up, he stands over the ball, and something doesn't feel right, but he goes ahead and swings anyway. And he mishits it, right? Craig, you're a golfer. You get it. Derek's a golfer. And so
I miss it all the time.
Dude, if I hit it good, it's a miss.
That is my hit.
And so, he stands over the ball and just doesn't feel right. You'll see them step back from that ball because they are master level processors in that moment in that sport. If they don't feel right, if the club grip doesn't feel right, if the wind doesn't feel right, they will stop what they're doing and they will step back. Whereas amateur golfers like you and I, we get up there, something doesn't feel right, we're like, well, shit, screw it, I'm going to swing harder. And that's what we do, and then we kind of compound the issue. So today, there are so many opportunities for them to make a decision that can change, well, on a larger scale, change their future. right? You win the Masters, pretty much set. It's just like winning Kona. It's just like winning Tour de France and other sporting events, Indy 500, things like that. And so it's what do you do when that bad decision or less than ideal opportunity comes up? So Craig, let's think of this in maybe and I'm just throwing this out there. We haven't discussed this at all. Maybe you have a thought process on best case scenario of how you should address that opportunity when it comes to you. You get smacked in the face with something and you're like, this sucks. What's step one? Like, what's the very first thing that you would recommend doing?
Accept.
Okay.
So,
let's break that down. Let's do this. I want to break accept into maybe one or two subcategories. So what are the steps of acceptance?
Well, the first thing is you acknowledge in the moment, it can be kind of challenging because here's the truth, especially in that state, in this example that you provided. The moment that you think something's off is the moment that your mind's got in the way. Because your body knows how to do it. These guys, if they get out of their own way, and you hear this is repetitive, get out of your own way, get out of your way, get out of your way. And the reason is because they've developed, everyone has a mastery level. When I say mastery, I don't mean mastery in the sense that you are the greatest or you are the best in your trade or whatever it is. What I mean is mastery is the level of automation that you have within you at this moment. So everyone has a specific set of mastery skills, even if it's poor mastery, whatever it is. But once you question or debate or think about what you are doing is the moment that you change the whole thinking process and bring in your prefrontal cortex, which is where you bring in the CEO of the mind. It doesn't just go from your limbic system into your motor cortex. It kind of takes another trip and slows everything down and causes problems. And so the recognition, that's why that guy backs up and says, nope, get out of my own way here. I'm going to back off of it. I'm going to step back. You'll see them. They usually take a deep breath.
Yep.
And then they'll reapproach it how they feel, because it's all, especially golf, but everything's all feel. I mean, when you run off feel, you swim off feel, you bike off feel, you play basketball off feel. And the moment you begin to debate that. So when you do make a mistake, when you do something that gives you an outcome in which you don't like, you have to recognize that it is an outcome. So it's first recognizing what did I real quick. Well, what did I do? Well, I started thinking about it. Well, let's not think about it. Let's just allow our bodies to do what they do. But the second piece is the recognition that there was just a result, and the result is not what we want. So then I go back and go, okay, then I need to change my action. So for every action, there is a result. It's not success or failure. That's for us to decide. The world doesn't define our successes and failures. We do. And, for example, some people think it's, from a golfer's perspective, some people think it's bad to get in the woods. I got to hit the fairways. I got to hit the fairways. Got to hit the fairways. But the story of Tiger Woods said, that's what everybody did. I didn't do that. I threw the ball in the woods and then got out. Get away from the woods. I'm getting in the woods because I know I'm going to be there and I have to learn how to get out. And so,
funny you say that. I say that's where I learned to golf. That's why I golf now, because I spent so much time learning how to hit out of crap.
Right.
Come back from that stuff.
Yeah. I mean, life is not all fairways. Life's not always birdies. So you're going to have those times where whether you make a decision, and I'll say this, choosing to think about something is making a decision to negate your capabilities. So when you start thinking about it, you're actually going to debate the peak performance that you can have because you've thought about it. Instead of just allowing your body to just do what it has become accustomed to doing. And so, first and foremost is just to back up, recognize that I thought about it, and I need to trust in myself, because trust is really important. And oftentimes, especially when there's heat in the moment and you're down by 5 strokes, and it's the last day, or you were up by 2 and now you're down by 1. And now the pressure's on you. No one's putting pressure on you. You're putting pressure on you.
Right.
Even if you were to stay right there, 1 stroke down, or whatever it may be, or maybe you're still, you're 200 feet from, the first place guy, you still did you still made probably some great progress. You still did very, very well. It's not to say that you didn't win the race. You didn't win the event, but, And the outcome is, ultimately, how did you do?
Correct.
That's
Correct.
my opinion.
And so, have you read any research? Are there any stats about how many decisions humans make over the course of a day?
Well,
I feel like I've heard a stat somewhere, some research or some paper. And I don't need an answer for this if you
Yeah.
don't know it. I just was curious if you'd ever heard of that.
no, I mean, there's when you think about this is the thing about psychology, which tends to drive some, I'll call them the older mindset of psychologists, crazy, is this whole process of thinking, because it's really hard to validate our thoughts. It's really hard to, it's such a subjective thing. And so from a qualitative perspective, average 12 to 50,000 thoughts a day. So, I mean, there's a chance in there for, 12 to 50,000 decisions. I mean, who knows?
Right.
No,
right.
I've not looked at stats on that, but I know that we make a lot of decisions. And in fact, oftentimes we think of decisions as being something that's decisive, but the lack of decisions is a decision. The lack of action is a decision.
Right.
And so oftentimes we will debate decision and create inaction. That is a decision. But once we decide, that change, that action happens instantly.
The
It's
worst decision we can make is indecision.
Oh, it's horrible. It's
And you
absolutely
sit
horrible.
and debate it and think about it, and which is kind of goes along with what we're talking about, is that, when you make a bad decision, how do you rebound from it? When you choose poorly, and I wish you had that audio clip. What is that? Indiana Jones.
What does he say?
Where they're drinking from the cup, and the guy has to choose which cup, and he chooses this big gaudy cup to drink out of for the everlasting life, and he drinks it, and he turns into the skeleton, like explodes. And the old guy who's kind of like the keeper of the guardian or whatever, this place, he goes, he has chosen poorly. So Indiana Jones has to walk up there and pick which cup he's going to drink out of. So
yeah.
anyway.
Well, I don't really think that. I may even go as far to say I don't really know if there's a truly bad decision. There's just decisions that we haven't learned from. I think that if I were to say make a bad decision, it's kind of like people are afraid to make the wrong decision, right? So I'm fearing. But if I just make a decision, recognize what the result was, and say, hey, I don't want to do that again. If I touch the stove and it's hot and it burns me, that was a learning moment. So I learned something. I learned, don't touch that damn thing when it's red.
Right.
Don't do it.
So what you're saying is life is a lot, when it comes to decisions, life is a lot of trial and error.
Absolutely.
We come up to opportunities, we say, okay, A or B, right or left,
Right.
What do? You take that path, and then you learn from it, whether it's a positive result or a negative result.
Right. Well, so we have this, and I talk about this in the Performance Mindset book. So this mindset, this wheel, so to speak. So you have a thought, and so the moment you have a thought, the first thing that happens in your mind, and this is important. People don't realize the value that's within your ears of whether, and we talk about the conscious and the subconscious mind, but so that you have conscious thoughts, those are in your conscious mind, and that thought causes you to question something. And what happens, it goes to your subconscious mind and says, hey, do you know anything about this? For example, let's say that they ask you to go speak in front of 6,000 people on mind right endurance.
Okay.
So you hear, oh, they want me to speak. Oh, and before you can think about it, it's already asked your mind, hey, Jeremy, what do you know about speaking? And it goes, you're a fucking disaster on the podium. You're horrible. You can't think straight. No, you can't even think straight now. No,
right.
You suck.
Don't judge me.
So
don't point out my flaws on this damn podcast.
So your subconscious mind is always looking to answer you. And so it tells you you're horrible. You suck, because your subconscious mind is where your habits, thoughts, beliefs, assumptions, and whatnot are. Your habits, beliefs, and assumptions and biases are. And so what happens is that makes you create some sort of emotional and physiological response. So your shoulders will drop, you get nervous, cold sweats, whatever it is. And then it creates an action.
Okay.
From that action, you get a result.
Correct.
From that result, your mind has processed this whole circle and said, oh, yeah, see, I told you you suck because when you got on the stage, you sucked.
Right.
And so it comes back into your mind through either visualization or your ears and says, and it agrees with your subconscious mind that says, you suck at this. Or it creates a new belief. So it hardens up an existing belief or it creates a new belief. And so this bad decision process is more of, hey, what is it that I'm used to? I'm getting accustomed to things because the subconscious mind doesn't really care for so much of the details as much as it just generalizes. And so it tries to create patterns to try to keep you out of trouble. And so if you've made a bad decision before, it's going to remind you, hey, you made a bad decision before. Okay. And that can adversely affect the process. And that's why you have to shake it up and debate. Generally speaking, our subconscious mind is rather irrational and versus our rational conscious thinking mind. But the subconscious mind is much, much stronger. It's the habits that we've learned to deal with. So when you made a bad decision, that's why it's really easy to make more bad decisions.
Yes.
That's why it's easy to continue to find it. You continue to date the same types of people. You continue to, make the same exact mental errors, the same exact
financial decisions,
physical errors,
yes.
Financial decisions, life decisions, career decisions, whatever they may be, because of the habitualness of how the mind works. And so you need to be cautious. And that's where recognizing that maybe the bad decision isn't necessarily a bad decision. It's just highlighting something that I need to learn from.
Yep.
It's a point of recognition.
And let's just be real here. That's freaking hard to do.
Yeah,
it's hard to step back and say, wow, I'm in this same situation. Instead of saying, woe is me, right? That's the common default is, why does this always happen to me? This sucks. Whatever it ends up being, you take a step back and say, it's not the first time I've been in this weird situation. Why am I here again? How can I avoid getting here again? So, and you made some really, really valid points in that little tirade there. So,
well, the key to it really is, and we don't like to do this, but we need to. And you'll find that some of your best athletes, some of your best, just people in general, have as good of an ability as possible for introspection. They have the ability to pull up a mirror, have some self-awareness, and recognize how they're feeling, what's going on with their body, and to what I would call, we talk about looking at the past or looking at the future, whether we prepare for the past or we reflect. So it's a reflection of sorts. Let's look at what happened. Let's think about this. What happened and how can we learn from it? And that question, how can I learn from this, is probably the most powerful one that you can ask when it comes to making bad decisions.
And the one thing I think is key to allow yourself to get to that point is vulnerability.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Being open to vulnerability. And vulnerability, this one of the best books I've ever read was Brene Brown's book. Can't think of the name.
So good, he forgot the title.
It's fabulous. I've got, I think, probably 2 copies of it in there. And that's all she talked about the entire time is vulnerability and how it's not a negative thing, how it's actually a good thing. Like if you're vulnerable, you learn, you grow, you process, things like that. And so when we're talking decision making within sport, the first thing to overcome that was accepting. Second thing was, I guess, first thing would actually be recognizing. Second thing would be accepting. And then what do you think the third piece to that is, Craig? Or is there a third piece? Is it just those 2 things and it just happens from there?
Well,
what can we put in people's toolkit to where they can have basically a checklist of, wow, I don't think this was the best decision that I've ever made. Okay, I recognized it. Okay, I screwed up. How did I screw up? And then what's that third piece to kind of get them back in the right direction?
You have to act. It's like the memes. Yeah, if we took every, people get down, and so they start looking for these inspirational or motivational memes that mean something to them. They'll put it on their Facebook page. They'll agree with it. They'll like it, but they won't apply it. And so it's not just enough to be aware. It's not just enough to recognize, acknowledge, have introspection, have self-awareness, but it also requires you to respond differently.
Correct.
And so if you do not change the pattern, if you do not create a new pattern, if you do not start a new method, then your habit will just continue to become more and more ingrained. You know, the
Correct.
ruts will get deeper and deeper and deeper and harder and harder and harder for you to get away from that. So you must change your actions. You know, again, we talked about it just a minute ago. You continue to stump your toe on the couch. You're either going to turn the lights on, you're going to have to walk a different path, you're going to have to move the couch, or
Set
you're not
that
going to have
match
to,
on
or
fire.
stop getting up in the middle of the night, you know, or something. But something has to change in order for you to reroute yourself. And then ultimately what ends up happening is you kind of reroute yourself, maybe even just changing your course of direction. And then that becomes kind of like your new habit. You do it over and over and over again. I'm not going to say it's a 10,000 hour rule because I don't really believe in that, but you know, you create new habits.
How many hours in a year? You just sidetracked the shit out of me. How many hours in a year, Craig?
Wow.
Let's see here. I'm pulling up the old handy dandy calculator. Stand by. We have 24 hours in a day, 365,
Google's really smart.
8760.
Yep, that's right.
So that's like, you're telling me I have to have walked around that couch for roughly 9 years before I've mastered walking around that couch.
Well, now, oh, Malcolm. So, you know, there's a book called Outliers, and I'm not going to debate the guy, but there is a lot of research that has went, and that's the thing, because once somebody sets it, and you know, for example, the guy that wrote Outliers, you know, if you are famous enough and people value what you say, they will take what you say as biblical. And he's one of those. And this 10,000 hour rule, people said you have to become a master at something that takes 10,000 hours. But the truth is they've had research that shows that that's not necessarily true.
Correct.
In fact, for some people, it might be 2,000. Another person, it might be 500. Someone else, it might be, 20,000. But,
Right.
there's not a consistent, just to say, well, in order for you to be an elite person at this level, it's going to take you 10,000 hours. Well, that's crazy. In fact, to me, that sounds a bit overwhelming, and I'm already done.
Yeah, I'm 9 hours into this, and F that.
Yeah, I'm done. Yeah,
I mean,
I just think that.
Let's just be honest. I mean, we are probably two of the top podcasters in the world, and we might have 70 hours wrapped up in this, right?
Yeah, that's
I mean,
right.
we don't need that 10,000 hour crap. That's baloney. So,
No. In fact, I think we're professionally unprofessional.
oh, absolutely, absolutely. If they categorize it, we are completely unprofessional professionals.
I mean, how many other podcasts are you going to hear the destruction of wind chimes?
Right? Or the
Seriously.
F-bomb.
Or the F-bomb. Yeah, or the F-bomb.
Yep.
Yeah, no doubt.
So true.
Yeah, I just think that's.
So we want to recognize when we're in a position to where something is less than what we think it should be. The situation is not how we envisioned it per se. First thing, recognize. Second thing, accept. Third thing, take action.
Correct.
Now, of those three, I can tell you right now, the third one is probably the one, I think you had mentioned a minute ago too, that doesn't get done, just like those memes.
It doesn't.
Right? We can recognize all day long, this sucks. That's typically the very first reaction is, man, this is awful. Or, oh, well, that was stupid, right? I know I've said that to myself many times. And accepting it is really hard, but I think taking action is the hardest. So it gets incrementally harder because doing, as a good buddy of mine, he's got a company, if you will. Don't just talk about it, be about it.
Mhm.
And to do that, you have to fully recognize, accept, and take action.
Yes. Well, let's just think. Here's a really quick one. So you're driving down the interstate, and you got your Google, because that's what everybody uses nowadays. They use their Google Maps, and all of a sudden it shows you some big red line down the interstate, and it says, "Hey, there is a lot of traffic." So you might, it's going to give you some way to detour around that or whatever else it is. And so you just kind of take it upon yourself to just pull over on the exit. You look at your map really fast and you find this new route. And you're like, okay, this is going to get us a lot quicker there. We're just going to take this route. So you take the route. No, because I know all of us have done this. And you take this route and you pull over and you get on this 2-lane highway, and all of a sudden it's a really curvy highway and there is a tractor on the highway, and it is going at snail's speed.
Warp
It's going at just snail's pace. I mean, 5 mile an hour, 7 mile an hour, whatever. And it's got this old wagon. I'm in Kentucky, so it's got these 2 old wooden wagons, and they're waving as they're driving down. You can't even pull over and cross and go around them because the trailers are going all over the place.
What are you? Are we about to get dysentery? Are you
Oh
on
my
the
God.
effing
What
North Trail?
But what happens to most people? They get livid, right? They start cussing. But maybe this is a point where maybe life is telling you just to slow down a little bit. Maybe life's telling you, why don't you look around and enjoy you're driving down these old country roads. There's all this stuff to see, and you're so pissy because you can't get somewhere as quick as you want to, because you want to have it and you want to get home, and you want to get home now.
Yep.
Enjoy the process. Enjoy the journey. Sit back, relax, hope the hell you got gas.
Shut the hell up.
Shut up
and
and just enjoy it. That's the whole point about making a bad decision. Maybe it's life telling you something. Maybe life is trying to give you a hint. Learn.
Life is smacking you in the face with a cold piece of
Life
salami.
does that, man. Life knows what's up with you, and
So
life
and to kind of conclude this, Greg, there's I think generally 2 types of people when faced with adversity is what we'll call it. There are people, and this is the fight or flight, right? There are people that stand up, stick their chest out, and press forward, and there are people that back up and haul ass. And I think, and I don't know, I'm just going to throw this out there. I think it's easier for the people who have more of that fight reaction or that pushing forward reaction to do those 3 steps, to recognize, the accept, and the action, than the people that will turn and walk away. And I'm just randomly throwing this out there. I'd love to hear your thoughts on my, I guess if I went to college, would you call that a thesis there?
yeah,
soon to
right.
be Dr. Greg?
Yeah, I think it
Hypothesis.
varies. I think it varies really. But yeah, I think there's a lot of validity in probably what you said. When
Just say it. Just
No, I think that the truth is the person, it is, we like to we stereotype, we put people in boxes, and we say, this is what your personality is, this is what my personality is, and blah, blah, blah. But the truth is that every personality is going to make a bad decision, and every personality has something to gain from that decision. Everyone.
very true.
And so if you want to go, well, I'm the personality that says, I'm just going to say, fuck it, and I'm out of here, then you're going to guess what's going to happen tomorrow night. You're going to get up in the middle of the night and you're going to stump your toe again, because that's what life does to you. It does not let you get away without learning something. You can continue to do it over and over again. It becomes your new habit, your new repetition. But it's the ones that are willing to go, hey, I'm not perfect and I don't know everything.
Yeah,
So
and
I'm going to take this and learn from it.
You're going to need to get a new toe if you're that person that doesn't learn from it.
You're going to lose it for sure. You're
I
going
didn't
to
even think about that. We talked about moving the couch, talked about turning the light on. We talked about setting the couch on fire in the living room. We never talked about just cutting your freaking toe off.
Well, we can do that too.
That's not an option. That's a better
I'm going
option.
to start sleeping in steel toe boots, so it just don't matter.
All right, dude. So let's wrap this up.
All right.
I think one of the great quotes. I try to write down quotes that I take from this. One of the great quotes that I actually added on to is, "Life's not always fairways. Learn to play out of the woods."
Yep.
Because it's that learn to adapt and overcome is what they taught us in the military. There's so many situations that come up that you're like, WTF? Like, is this really going on right now?
Yep.
Adapt and overcome. What do? You find a workaround. Sometimes our paths, the path we think we're on or should be on is like
Yep.
this, and most of the time we're actually doing this.
Right.
Right. Every now and then we're on the path. We're like, hell yeah, we're doing this. Then we're off the path. We're like, I have no fucking clue where the path is
Right.
at, and then we're back to the path. And it's just adapt and overcome.
Well, you got to get past it. That's the key. So, there's three references of time. You have the future, you have the present, you have the past. Present is where you're going to get all your peak performance. It's where everything is happy and enjoyable. But if you pull out of the present moment to continue to debate and to almost get depressed about a bad decision, for every moment that you choose to go back in your rear view and look at what you did and try to analyze it 18,000 different ways. Every moment you spend doing that is one moment that you're not going to be in peak performance or having the life that you want, or in enjoying life that you want. So
you say that again, having the life that you want.
Yeah.
Right. So you just told me that having the life we want is within our control.
It is in control. In fact, what is it?
That's
I had these random moments, and I have these little thoughts that I put up. And so I put one up yesterday on Facebook. It said, "A life without adversity is not a life at all.
Yep,
It's
I saw that.
death. It's death." The quicker you recognize that adversity empowers growth, which is the bad decision, even, the quicker you realize you're in far more control than you actually thought.
That's a wrap.
I don't know what else to say.
We're going to end on. I can't say anything else to top that.
All right,
I'm
sounds
not
good.
going to try. So that's it. If you want to get a hold of us, you can reach Craig. Craig has his own website, which is still fantastic. Craig at CraigWheeler.com. You want to reach me, Jeremy at MindRightEndurance.com. We are at PerformanceOnDemandPodcast at gmail.com.
It ain't nothing but a G thing.
Ain't nothing but
Baby.
G thing, baby. So, dude, that's the second week in a row a reference of an old rap song.
And
on
if
something.
you like the podcast, please go over to iTunes and rate the podcast. It does help us get more people to listen into the show. And at the end of the day, that's what we are looking to do, is provide free information that can help you get through your day.
We just had
best
that
way possible.
conversation not long ago. That's where we had an athlete that had a big breakthrough, if you will, and made some real inroads and connections to things that we said, and we both agreed that's what we're doing this for. That's
Sure.
why we're giving up our time. That's why you're doing all the production stuff. That's why we're drawn back to where we were a year ago, is because it means that much to us as people. So go rate us, share us with your friends when the podcast comes out. It'll be probably a week or two before it comes out. This one does, but which doesn't matter, because by the time they get it, it'll have been out. So I don't know why I just said that, but
Yeah. And and the thing for people, if you like to hear these sooner, there is the benefit for you, because we do all of this live. We do all of it on YouTube. So you're welcome to look us up over on YouTube, Performance on Demand, and actually watch us. Randomly, we'll have them. We don't know when we're going to do them, but all of a sudden they'll be live, and you'll be able to watch us. And you can also watch the recording actually before it pops up on iTunes. So
there we go. Winner, chicken dinner.
Deuces. I'm out.
Later.
See ya.